coaches across the country used the Coachpad this past season to be more efficient with their scout card prep on the weekends as well as when out on the practice field working with their scout teams. Whether you're a coach using a computer program to create cards or drawing them by hand, the Coachpad is for you. Never printing paper or stuffing a binder, clearly seeing scout cards outdoors in the bright sun, and using the Coachpad on game days, syncing diagrams from the press box to the sideline were some of the features coaches enjoyed this season. This offseason, get your Coachpad at thecoachpad.com to get your program ready for next season. Thecoachpad.com.
Welcome back to another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast. Today we have the defensive coordinator at Ringgold High School there in the great state of Georgia, Coach Houston White. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you, Coach. Kind of before we get started, how do you end up as the DC there at Ringgold?
Well, it actually goes back. The previous head coach that hired me down here, we had known each other. I was the head coach at Notre Dame High School in Chattanooga, 25 years ago after I played college football at UAB and then coached at University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And then got into high school coaching and was the head coach at Notre Dame, and a fellow named Robert Akins was coach at Boyd Buchanan and just kind of mentor to me. And fast forward 20-something years later, I'd spent time in Dallas, Texas, and head coach at other places in Tennessee, and wanted to move to Georgia. My son was getting ready to get into school, and Coach Akins is a tremendous man and football coach, and I wanted my son to be with him. And he had an opening for defensive coordinator, and we had talked for years about if I could ever get up, we could link up together. We'd always kind of been against each other, but as mentors, and just got afforded the opportunity to come down to move to Georgia. And I didn't even have to move. Ringgold's right on the border of Tennessee, so it was a great fit for us to get in a great county and a great state, and let my son play for Coach Akins and myself, and us kind of work together for a while. So that's kind of how I ended up at Ringgold. Was, you know what they say in the coaching profession is who you know. So it's kind of just who I knew. That's how I got to Dallas as well.
Okay. Now, obviously we're going to talk some three safety stuff today, and I know you've ran for roughly about 4 years.
Yes.
Kind of what caused you to make the transition to the three safety defense?
Well, that's a funny story. My son I was telling you about was a linebacker quarterback kid, and as a sophomore, he got hurt, and we were a 3-4 base. And I wanted to get him on the field. He was able to come back the last couple of games of the season. And we knew he would probably progress to moving back to a DB to play in college. And I was trying to really I'm going to be very honest with you, make some stuff up to where I could protect him in the middle of the field, not put him in the box and get banged on, but still run and read it like that. And we were playing a team in our region that runs double slot, triple option type stuff, and inside zone triple. And kind of created a way we want to do things. And it was really an old school version of a trap 2 coverage with Kyle, my son, playing the middle safety that could be a pole runner, but also run the alley. And right after that season, and we played well that game. We were not very good that year, and we played this team pretty tough. And at the end of that year was when Oklahoma State kind of really hit the map and everybody started talking about it. And as we looked at it, we were like, this would fit Kyle, what he does well. Because, he was your typical 5'10", 190-pound, good high school football player. And so we went out and visited Iowa State and spent 3 days with him. And it was very similar to what I just kind of had made up a little bit to protect Kyle. And, man, we just fell in love with it and went and ran with it. And so that's kind of the story of we kind of a little bit did it without really knowing what we were doing. And all of a sudden that offseason, it became kind of hot. And we said, well, let's fly out to Ames. And Coach AKAT was just tremendous, the defense coordinator out there, very welcoming. And still to this day, I can text him with a question. He's right back to me with a drawing on a napkin or a board or something of how he would handle it. So we kind of stumbled up on it, if you will.
Okay. Now that's kind of where I see some of this, like the origins really is. You mentioned defending the triple. It reminds me of kind of like the old you mentioned the trap 2 and some of that like tower monster middle safety back.
Yeah.
They could kind of deal with because to not give away some stuff when people are motioning. It's kind of, that reminds me. I mean, how has it, I mean, before we get into kind of some details, like how has it evolved over those 4 years for you? Because obviously you kind of mentioned there, you kind of stumbled into it and then you went to Iowa State. I mean, how much of the Iowa State stuff do you run and how much has it kind of evolved from there? Which obviously people listening can kind of look at our screen, at their video. But it kind of, how has it evolved for you?
Well, the kind of the first thing, when we got it, we said, all right, we know obviously we've got to tweak it to high school what our kids can fit. What I loved about it though is, everybody has the talks. It's not, some people come from it with a stack background. Some people come with a 3-4 and even an even front background. To me, it's you put your personnel out there, and yes, it's 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 3 safeties. Kind of how you format what I love is you can format your front structure, your run fits, your coverages really with 2 things. What are you seeing offensively? What are you trying to stop? And what are your strengths of your players? And as we get into this, I'll give you a great example. But, we look at, believe it or not, I just visited with a staff in Tennessee that wanted me to go through this with them where they're going to install it. We look at our joker safety. That's what I wasn't going to call it the star safety because that was my son at the time. And I wasn't going to go there. So we call it the joker safety. And then, Coach, we look at the wheel linebacker. That's our 2 people that, based on their strengths, is kind of how we're going to format everything. So this year, we're actually evolving as the 4th year to doing a little bit more of a mint front look at times. We've always stemmed to our bare front, but I just believe you have your base philosophy of way of teaching it. But do you want to play some quarters out of it, or are you more of a 2 read? Some people with a stack background, I find, are more 3 match, rip list stuff. We're not. Our trap 2 is really an inverted cover 3. But I think you can take every position group from your D line, your linebackers, and your safeties, keep your structural philosophy together, but adjust your front calls, your pressures, and then your coverages on the back end to make it all fit. I'll never not install this as my base, no matter what my personnel is, wherever I'm at, because you'll see on film, there's times you can pause our film, and if somebody just said, well, what is their base defense? You will know, just because our alignment rules and simple tags I can give that allow us to play fast, we can look like a slant 50, we can look like a 3-4, we can look like a 4-2-5. You know what I mean? There's so many moving parts that make it simple for us and our kids to play fast. So I just think the evolution we continue to involve. It's all about your players, what their strengths are. So that's our number one thing is what can our players do that fit within the schematic structure of what we're doing. And then what are we seeing? We've got a brand new region coming up with like 5 new teams. So we're evolving to what we're going to see a little bit more. Is it 10P tempo? Is it 11P? Is it 12P? I just think the structural base allows for such flexibility that it gives you a greater starting point for adjustments. That's just my philosophy.
Good. Now, kind of with, I mean, with that, like obviously on our screen, there's a bunch of stuff, and as with any defense, you're going to start going down rabbit holes depending on what you start hitting on and how you go to. I mean, from a coverage standpoint, on a typical year. Now, I get this varies every year because your personnel changes and you adapt to what, again, as you've kind of mentioned. Okay, who's in your region, who you're seeing, what concepts they like you're going to make adjustments year to year on what you're, but from an ideal perspective, because obviously there's cloud, there's sky, you got trap in there, you got, I mean, true cover 3, you got a variety of stuff, your pattern matching. Where do you typically start? What do you consider is your base in terms of coverage and how you, and your base 3x1 check that you start with?
Sure. We're a quarters toolbox team, and I've been doing it a long time, and it's kind of some of my pet peeves at time of people that talk quarters and how I view quarters. When people say cover 4 and all that, this is just me, how I do things. Our quarters toolbox is we center around 4 coverages. So cloud for us is just palms, blue, whatever people got. That's our pattern match 2 read. That is our catch-all day one install because we feel And I'll say this real quick on why we do this. One of our big sayings that we do is no palms up. We don't go palms up. And what that means is a quick story. Years ago, when Ohio State got after Alabama, when Tom Herman was there, Nick Saban sent Kirby and those guys to Tom Herman when he went to Houston to find out what happened with tempo and why they got after him. And Tom Herman told the Alabama defensive staff that when they went tempo, they saw on film that Alabama's guys were looking to the sideline showing their palms, which to us equates to I don't really know what I'm doing or I'm blaming something or whatever. So our first philosophy, I hope you would ask any defensive kid, what do we never do? You never go palms up. We're never going to do that. I tell our kids we can play cloud at any given time, no matter what. So we start with our pattern match 2 read. That's in our quarters toolbox. Sky is just to us a check that I can call on a rundown or based on number 2's alignment. It becomes 4 lock, is what people would say. So, and I'll preface this. Here's how we install these. We always say, who has number 2 out and up? So in cloud, the corner has number 2 out and up because it's pattern match 2 read. In Sky, the safety has number 2 out and up. All right. So let's say we're getting number 2 detached and we've called cloud. Great. If number 2 were to minus his alignment where we don't feel the safety can get over top of 1, if 2's out, he'll check Sky to that side and it becomes 4 lock. So now he handles all of it, 2 out and up. Storm is, we only use this, Coach, since we're playing with true linebackers in our stack. We only use this for 11P with inline tight ends or sniffers. Storm, outside linebacker, has 2 out and up, okay? And in cover 7, now we're spinning, and now one of our free or rover, our 2 high safeties, they're coming down, and now they'll take all of the 2 out and up, and our joker safety comes over the top of that side. Yeah. So that's our 4 quarters toolbox coverage. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's kind of where we start. Trap is really day 2 install, and that's our rundown coverage. So I'll kind of show you this as it gets into coverages. The way we kind of go about things is we go to down and distance calls. That's how we look at stuff. So when we're installing, you can see we look at rundown base calls. You can see in our tight front, we're playing trap, cloud, sky, and storm against 10P. That's what we're going to do. And then when we get into our bare front and our tough and mint are for 11P, and that's really, we're just trying to set an edge. It's mint front, what Georgia and everybody does. That's when we play cover 7 behind it. Nick Saban cover 7 true quarters. So trap is day 2 install for us. And really why I love trap, and I'll speak on trap, and I'm sold on this. A lot of teams that play cover 3, Rip and Liz match out of it. I'll tell you why I like trap better, Coach. In our trap, we have 3 versions of what our trap corner can do. And our corner coach can change that based on hand signals. When we install this, he's going to hard trap. So we're showing the same alignment as cloud, and then we're going to step in and square up 1-2 shuffle. And now I'm reading the end man on the line, and I listened to Oklahoma's DB coach talk at a clinic this spring, and he said, if we get an end man or our read key block, he said that we call it a blitz. We're blitzing. So they become the primary force player with a run. So I like that when we're seeing jet sweep, outside zone, bubble screen, now screen, RPO, we're going to run trap, and we're going to hard trap our corners. What I love about it is very difficult, in my opinion, for a number 1 wide receiver in high school to block a trap corner because they're watching the ball. By the time they take 1 step, we're inside of them trapping. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then if our corner reads pass, he's going to retreat and basically work curl out to the flat. So that's a technique we work. So it's really just I call it an inverted cover 3 because our 2 high safeties, they're pedal weaving over the top, playing thirds, halves, whatever you want to call it. And the good thing is our joker safety, who's already at 7 to 8 yards, just like in a 4-3 or a 3-4 where the Mike has to be the pole runner, he's at depth enough and athletic enough that he can catch pop technique is what I call it. He can fit the run because we're thinking run down, but if it is a pass, he can still get to the high hole. So we love trap as a rundown stopping coverage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense. And I think trap has seen kind of a resurgence slash evolution over the past couple of years. A lot more coaches are running it, especially coaches out of either the 3-3 stack or out of the true 3 high safety stuff. You've seen a lot more trap coverage, and I think also the prevalence of running the ball outside zone and several other things have caused coaches to shift it to it too.
And a trap corner to me is just hard. I mean, and we run some. You see cover 6. That's our fire zone, 3 deep, 3 under stuff. But I just think it's, once again, my opinion. When you roll your safeties down and play like a Ripley's match, quarterbacks can ID that better. Number 2, whether it's a sniffer or a detached number 2, they see that better. They got a better chance of blocking. Now your corner's kicking deep in his divider rules. I like having the trap corner because that throws to me the if you're running a crack arch scheme on the perimeter or you're reading a pre-snap RPO, that cloudies up some of the quick decisions that outside perimeter players on offense have to decide, who am I blocking? Does that make sense? And what I love about it is we can turn that hard trapping corner into a squat trap by simply giving a hand signal. And so it may turn in traditional cover 2 where we're going to squat, square, and butt press, you know what I mean, to play a cover 2 if we want to do that. If we're not really worried about quick perimeter run, but we want to get that defender rerouting number 1 and sitting in that 6 to 8 yard window, then we can just change up his technique, but it's still a trap concept, you know, and it's a spot drop. So we differentiate and we teach. You can see how we listed. Our kids are going to know pattern match coverages and they're going to know spot drop coverages. And we only run a few spot drops. So, you know, we'll start this in April when we start skill development in the summer. We'll walk the entire field and we will cover every aspect of field zones, what offenses like to call in these field zones, and what we identify as certain things, and teach them the difference of how would we pattern match, how do we spot drop, things like that. So I think no matter what you do, how you teach it and install it is a real big part of the equation of being successful in this.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you hit on a lot of it there with the trap 2 out of the 3 safety stuff. I mean, I'll ask from a technique perspective, because I don't think there's enough quality stuff out there anyways. I mean, what fundamentally, where do you start with your corners in the trap 2 stuff out of the 3 high?
So our coach will take a drill and we'll start with our cloud stance. So we are 1 by 5 inside, tilted inside, outside leg up. So, I mean, we're reading through, you know, number 2, just like we would in that's our alignment. So we want to give that, I like the static pre-snap look, and then we move to it, because when you ask offensive coaches, most everybody I've called offense, I mean, they want to know for a quarterback, is it open or closed? And so I love having the static look 3 across and your corner sitting at about 5 to 6 yards. So when we teach that, he's going to start with just a drill where we line up, and he's going to take an in man read, and we're going to take, if he's squatted in his corner stance, we're going to take our outside foot and step forward, and then we're going to shuffle in with our second step so we can get square. And now we're going to shuffle in as we read, and that way we're already moving forward and we're anticipating run trigger. So if we get number 2, look to go down block on the apex, and you get the end man down blocking, or you get an arc and a pull that he can see that, it becomes a blitz, and now he's the secondary force guy. Our outside linebacker is still the primary force, so now he's triggering. So he'll take a drill and read that and do that, and then we'll do the same technique with the step, replace, shuffle, shuffle. Now I get a hi-hat, I get a vertical release by 2. Now we hinge open, and we start putting our head on a swivel. Now we're just working it from, instead of a linebacker working inside out, we're working outside in. So I've got some film I can show you where number 2 ran a little option spot route, and the corner actually covered that and then continued to buzz out to the flat. So he's literally just reversing what your skiff player would do as a curl flat or a cough player. He's now going to work, check he's trapping first, then he's going to open hinge, drop into the curl, and work to the flat late. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the technique. And then we drill the heck out of it, and he builds on it and builds on it. And then we'll do a lot of group work where the safety and the corner seeing the same thing. So we're fitting off each other, add the joker safety. Because two terms we use, coaches, I think are very important in our defense: leverage and layer. Everything we do talks about leveraging the ball horizontal and layering the defense at all three levels. So our kids are always going to understand leverage and layer. So in that trap corner technique, and not to get off topic, but that's the stuff this morning in our 6 a.m. workouts, we're incorporating in our circuit type things. We're already doing cone drills where we're not talking trap, but we're talking near hip, near shoulder, near foot, gap hand, gap foot. And so we're working tracking that. So they're going to know their leverage from a trap corners perspective going into it. We're doing things with our safeties to where they're already going to know, now I'm the layer player on top of that corner. You know what I mean? So I think building blocks of how you install is very important.
Okay.
But I hope that answered your question on how we teach the technique of trap.
No, it does. And because I just don't think enough people either openly talk about it or it's just not, I mean, or it's all behind paywalls right now. So it's just,
Yeah.
well,
That's how we do it, and drill work to mirror that.
how much 5-man, I mean, I'm assuming you're doing a bunch, but how much 5-man pressures are you doing out of the trap stuff compared to some of your other stuff you're doing?
We do not play. We have a coverage coach, and I'll be honest with you, I just really hadn't called it called bait, because that's how you trap with our 5-man pressures. But when we send 5 this year, I'm trying to get I did a poor job last year. I put our corners in too bad of positions in man coverage at times. We'll be better this year. Our kids are returning, but we're going to play more 3 deep, 3 under. And I love how Coach Heacock teaches that too and how we do it. So when we send 5-man pressures, we're going to play more 3 under, 3 deep traditional fire zone rather than 2 under, 4 deep.
Okay.
We have that if there's a need for that, but I think the way we're going to teach it with our hot seam players, that we're going to carry verticals, then we're still protecting verticals, and we're just telling our guys that are pressuring. I think sometimes there's too much pressure put on the back end. We've got to coach our guys up front better to get home. You know what I mean? To win their matchup. So we do not play a lot of 2 deep, 4 under. We're going to play more 3 deep, 3 under fire zone when we do send 5.
Okay. Now, because obviously, like before we get to a little bit of film, before we have to wrap up, because obviously we both have our on time schedules. But like just because I see quite a few fronts there. I mean, how do you? Because I get 2 perspectives when I talk to people about 3 safety stuff. Because I've talked to quite a few people, and then I have Runda's old stuff from when he was at Bluffton and his clinics from back from the COVID days of 3 safety stuff. I think they're probably 2 of my most popular videos, to be honest, is him talking 3 safety stuff. But like, there's 2 perspectives I get when I talk to people. It's either this is kind of a package or it might be our base, but when we get some of the heavy 11 or 12 personnel or 22 personnel, we got to have a whole different thing in as a prep for that. And then there's other coaches like, no, we have built-in adjustments. This is what we're going to stay in. We might change out like 1 kid because obviously matchups, blah, blah. But like this is like we've sold into this. How do you deal with, okay, they're starting to, because obviously with everybody going hyper 3-3 or hyper 3 safety or going to really athletic kids in the 3-4, how are you dealing with the schools that are, oh, we're just going to start going 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 22 personnel?
I'll tell you, it's funny. People ask this all the time. Coach, we've played probably 4 years, and we've seen every kind of offense under the sun. I don't know if we've played 3 snaps with 4 defensive linemen. We do what we do. Yet I'm kind of leaning towards that guy you said on the back end, the second part of, we have our built-in adjustments. I can show you that on film. Like, for example, if you look how we build our calls here, a rundown base call. And so my call sheet is a difference of 10P to 20 to 11P. So, for example, if it's a rundown base call, here in 10P, which our pecking order is, we're going to play the tight front, typical tight front. we're going to stem to bear after that if we got trouble. All right. And then we're going to go when we're facing 10P and we want to get a 4-man look or add it on. Bravo is what that is for us. And that's just adding our Mike linebacker. Coach Mack, Play Fast Football. He and I talk a lot on this. We're just we're bringing our Mike and we're going to run twist stunts on one side and bring him and long stick the ends. And it's just, you can call it getting into an over and under front. You know what I mean? We're just doing it with our Mike so it doesn't change the coverage structure.
Yeah.
So that's our pecking order. So I mean, tight front, bear front, Bravo. And then we get into, if we had to, our par pressure, pass and run. Then we'll get into our 5-man. It is literally on our call sheet, a pecking order. We're going to run tight front. All right, that ain't working. Bear front. All right, we need to add something else. Let's send forward with our Bravo stuff. All right, now let's run our 5-man. If you're getting 11P, we'll go tight front. We'll go bear front. And this is where tough and mint get into us. And all this is we're really moving into a 4-2-5 over and under. Yeah. Tough tells our Sam to walk up. Mint tells our Will to walk up. And we really like that against 11P. And now we can play traditional 4-2-5 quarters out of it. And if that doesn't work, then we go to our 5-man. When you start getting into 11, like 21P or even 12P, our built-in alignment rules give us that. And I'll tell you one thing that people ask me all the time, and it's hard to give a definitive answer. If I'm seeing 12P, first we look at on Sunday, what are the tight ends in for? Are they just to create a gap? Are they run blocking guys? Are they pass blocking guys? Do we need to cover them up? I've talked to a lot of O-line guys, and they want your guys to walk up. We very rarely do we cover down on a tight end. Every now and then we will if we feel we got a physical matchup or we need to maybe pinch that guy and get in a C gap. But we're going to align rule that week off what they like to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I love about having a kid like my son was at Joker, and I'll show you on film, Coach, we could easily get into an under front. You know, you walk the Will linebacker up, the Sam's in a 9, you got a 9-5 shade, 3 and a 5, and your Joker walks up with your Mike, and now you're in an old school 50 under front. So we just feel that we've got every answer for any possible formation motion you can give us.
Yeah.
And like, I'll tell you another quick example. Like, you look here, tight is our number 1 buck front, and that's just really a 3-4 Okie. Well, anytime that we get a tight end, I don't have to call buck front. Our defensive end and linebacker to that side get that guy in a 5, and we're playing a heavy 5. So if he gets an out block, he's going to cross face and play B gap. If he gets reached, he's still fighting inside and handling B gap. We're playing a true heavy technique. We're just giving the illusion for that tight end who believes he's a gap down linebacker, usually on gap scheme, that he's got to come down on that 5, but we're playing a heavy 5 with that guy. We just don't want to give that tight end a free release. So buck is an automatic check. You know what I mean? Tough and mint. I just met with our linebackers the other day, and I said, I got to get to where you guys know if they're running, say, buck sweep in the boundary with 11P, our Will linebacker ought to be looking at me going, Coach, call mint. Get me up there. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where we're evolving. But that's kind of how we handle it. We don't sub guys in. We sub guys in, but it's within our 3-man front structure of jet front and pass rushers. We may have a big guy at nose on run downs and sub a little guy in or whatever if you have that personnel. But no, we're not a wholesale change. We're going to do what we do and go from there. But we just feel we've got answers and adjustments. That's the key to me, is having the answers and adjustments ready.
Okay. Now, hey, let's go to some film, Coach, and so we can kind of so the viewers can kind of see a couple things for a couple minutes before we gotta go. And like I said, I'll let you kind of narrate from here for a second and let you do you.
All right, well, here's a prime example. This is the first game of the year. And so this team, we had not seen inline tight end. All right, they'd been 10P type stuff. So here's the first play of the game, and they come out in this. So a simple example of our checks. Our free safety right here. All right, well, we don't want to play 2 read to that. He's in line. He's going to check sky. So these guys are talking. Now our Sam linebacker First game, all right, I'm going to walk up on him right there. That's fine. Our Will has a number 2 apex. So just camp rules, middle of the field. We're going to hip to apex. Good look at our corner stance. We're getting us. You can tell number 1 turning that corner stand. He's giving us guy check right there. Right. And I left it up to our safety. Now this year, because we had more athletic linebackers, out of this, I believe he checked storm right here where our linebacker was going to carry 2 out and up. But here's a good look. Mike line, we ended up switching the mic and the wheel, just so you know, our mic wasn't very good. But we had not seen this. So now here they go. So they're motion. I love that we're pointing. Everybody's moving. Any nub side, we're checking freeze, which is just typical cover 2. But we're making our movement here. He comes in the backfield. There's the joker working alignment. And it'd be a whole different podcast for me to get into what you can do with a joker. Our Mike gets a false step read. But here's where the joker fits in. That's my son, number 12, right there. So the corner up top has pitch. We haven't seen this at all. Didn't rep this kind of play one time. So the corner has pitch. The safety's working over the top. There's our corner hot 3 and out and cloud. And there's our joker safety unblocked. Let's see. All right, so now here's the same look down here. So now instead of him calling sky, coach, where he would take 2 out and up, notice it's 3rd and long. So now we've got to make a storm call. So the outside linebacker is going to take the tight end out and up. He's going to show this look. He's going to turn around and play mod quarters on 1. So key 2. I want you to watch this kid right here, who's a junior for us. Great eye discipline. And that's one thing we really focused on is eye discipline and reaction. He's going to check 2. When he sees 2 out, he's going to go open up. We're playing storm up top. We're basically playing quarters across the board. Job by 5 right there, square. I'm going to stab and pin and run. 24 pedals. He sees 2 go out. Bam. Immediately he goes to top 1 and bracket right now. We've got mod quarters up top. Safety's pedaling out. Linebacker, it's a good job of our outside linebacker showing what we talk about cough, curl over flat. So 2's out. I'm not going to go jump that. I'm going to work the curl zone, knowing it's 3rd and long. I know we give up contain right there. I'll tell you one thing, and I should say, we don't worry too much about quarterback contain, coach. We just sometimes it is what it is, and I give our kids some freedom on some things, and we'll adjust when we need to. And yes, we work to keep contained. All right, now here's a good one that I love. So 3rd down, what I love about the 3 safeties. So here's a good look right here. We're just playing base defense. What I tell the joker on this is he has screen draw, quarterback, fine work. So this is something that we really teach our kids. I have walked the field with our defensive group. Said, all right, guys, this is the free wheel zone. The ball's on the 30. 3rd and long. Most every team in America can get the 4th and 1, and they're going to put the ball. So here's what coverages we're going to play. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what you may see from an offense. You may see a screen or a draw right here. So they run a screen. Our Mike linebacker's a low hole player with a no cover zone. There's the joker in the middle. He's reading it. Looks good. That's fine. We recover, re-react. You get 4 yards, you punt the football. We're not going to pressure down in that, but notice now, coach, this is where our safeties are playing. If you see them pedal weave, this is where we're playing trap. But our corners coach has given our cornerbacks a closed fist is we're hard trapping. An open fist is we're squat trapping. A come to me is we're just going to walk out and we're going to sit at the sticks. We're just shuffling out, and our corners are going to kind of go and sit down right there at the sticks and drive on stuff. So we're just playing situational football. That's a good example of, I think, how the base stuff looks. Right here, so here's another example of we've called cloud to read, but our safety, we don't want to play cloud and inline, so he's checked sky, so we're playing 4 lock. We tell this linebacker, we teach him kind of week to week. He can either play off the back, number 3 will match that. He can add to the rush if the back steps up, or he can help drop and play a cough technique if the back were to flare. I love the way we teach sky coaches in this, allow our corners to zone eye this. We're not really playing Meg. All right. So the reason it does that our corner just makes a good come out. He sees and reads the ball, a little overthrow. Now we get an interception of it. So we're playing 2 read up top. And we come off and get a pick right there. I'm gonna kind of keep moving fast through this. I'm not sure how much time I have. Y'all seen Cloud. All right, so here, I think this is a great clip, Coach. So this is one of these teams that they could give you empty and inline tight end H-back in one grouping. You know what I'm saying? They did a really good job. They would take their H-back and put him at running back and put their go back out here and get spread. They could stay in this formation and motion to back out. So they give us a lot. So Kyle got pretty good that on a run down or pass down, I could give him thumbs up and he would give us a pass check. Thumbs down, he gave us a run check. So based on what you're getting right here, just off alignment rules, Coach, we should have sky called to both sides. So we're playing mod quarters to both sides. Sam has walked up to match this H-back. All right. Now, watch what happens. We had told that week, our will, you get an inline tight end, we want you to walk up and cover him. Okay. There's a reason they're doing this. Well, he doesn't see this, but now our safety walks him up. But by the time he's walking up, here comes motion. Now our safety X freeze to that side. Now we're in sky down here. All right, so technically this safety and Kyle have made a banjo call to this guy. As the motion clears, watch everybody communicate. Kyle is telling the safety, we're going to stay in our sky 4 lock. Here he comes across. So now we've got 3 on 3 right here. I think they're wanting us to stem the coverage, rotate somebody back, because what they're going to do, they're going to throw a backside tight end screen on 3rd long. Well, we've got everybody sitting on it. So you gained a yard out of that and you punt the football. But I like going back to what I'm saying is if I showed you this film and I paused this film right here and I said, what's our base defense? I'm not sure you could tell somebody what our base defense is. I mean, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, you know, is the flexibility to handle every situation, motion, and adjustment. All right, so this is a good one. I love our communication about this. So everybody's checking. Everybody's got to communicate. So everybody's checking what they're in. Here we go. Bam, they hard count. Now look at us. There's Kyle at Joker. Here's what we're going to do. Hey, yeah, outside linebacker, we check this coverage. Here we go. So now we check the storm down here. Our linebacker's going to widen. But now look at the down and distance, Coach. It's 3rd and 8. Watch the Mike linebacker and the Joker safety, my son. They're on a string right here. They're responsible for quarterback screen draw. Here it comes. There we go. And they get 2 yards out of it, and they punt the football. Communication, doing your job, knowing the situation, playing fast. That's what it's all about with us. All right, here's a good look. I haven't got into our 3x1 coverage. So here's our base 3x1 is box. And we're playing a trap coverage with our safety in our corner. Our Sam linebacker, who doesn't do a very good job, he's a post 3, match 2. Our Joker safety is a all of 3 vertical, Rob post dig curl, and then we've got various checks on the backside. I love the 3 high safety. We don't have to borrow him very often. So here's a box look. So watch our corner down here, little guy. Here he comes. That's a blitz to him now because he read terrible tackle here, but you get the point of the number 1 receiver turns and he's like, oh crap. The guy maybe I'm supposed to block on speed is gone now. So now here it is again. Watch number 5. He screws the whole thing up by playing a trap technique in our 3x1 version of this. Basically stops the spot route from coming in, kind of muffles up the output, and our outside linebacker does a good job. As he pushes to build a wall on the hash, quarterback breaks contain, so we push the zone, and they're basically going to overtake, and there's no way to go. You see our Joker taking all of 3 vertical, our safety's pedaling it over the top. We're actually running a slant, Coach. We call it Falcon. Now we're slant to the field. Bad job by 51 to jump to lose contain. So there's, and I'll tell you what our kids know, Coach. So if you look at this, and I'm going fast on it, but there's just so much. They loved when they went 4 strong, it was going to be this pass play. It was going to be a pass concept. I'm going to show you the next play. I see immediately, and our guys start seeing the back is weak. So their favorite thing back week's power read. So now we're going to go to a 5-man pressure. So we're running our fire stunt, just America's blitz. The only other thing they did out of this, coach, is they went their best guy backside. So we made a funnel check here with a solo call to the wheel. The wheel's matching the back. Watch the safety technique real quick. He's going to get over the top, and he's going to bracket number 1. Well, the wheel has the running back. As soon as he crosses face, I can become part of the pass fit. And now here comes our pressure off the edge. There's nowhere to go. Simple back recognition. Our kids knowing that. Here's what they like to do. We narrow the playlist down in the structure. Now, here's a great look. Coach talking about the joker safety. If you need to stop me, Coach, you stop me. I can go all day. A lot of people, and I think me and you've had this conversation. Me and you may have had this conversation on Twitter a while back. What do you do with a joker safety? Do you lag him? Do you front side fit him? I'll show you a clip here. Most of the time, we took the best player on this. Well, we thought their Q was a decent little athlete. So I was able to tell Kyle to give the Sam linebacker a switch call. So he's going to go heel chase the running back, which gives a pull read. But now here comes Kyle. He's the lag C-gap Q pull player. We put our best kid on it. So a few plays later, now look where I've got Kyle. I think now they anticipate this. Now here comes the Sam off the edge. He's going to play the Q. They give it, but now there's Kyle on the back. I'm just playing games with you. What I think you're going to do, what I love is I talk a lot about our read and reaction. We're in sky across the board with our free safety and our joker. As soon as our free safety sees number 2 go down to block, look at our triggering. So now look at the leverage. We've got inside near hip. Kyle becomes the cap player as the joker, and the free safety knows he's an outside hip fitter. And so there's a half a yard gain right there. Here's just a good look that you can adjust it. This is Hart County in the playoff, coach. They look like Auburn getting off the bus. I was like, good Lord. So here's a good version. We're just playing cover 3. We check spin to that, force a D1 out of it. You know what I mean? The 3 high. All right, here's a good look at box. Told you earlier I had a clip of our corner kind of playing. Here comes number 8. He's going to swing for the trap. Now watch where he goes next. He handles the little spot route. So if you watch the quarterback, he's going to go through 3 reads. He looks front side. Spot it in there. We've built a wall on the hash. The snag's not there. You got to come back now. Now I'll show you a bad technique of what we would fix on film. They still have to make a hard throw. If you look at the trip side, we've got everything covered. Safety's over. We're just forming a box. The safety's over the top. I was handling all 3 vertical. We built a wall on the hash with the Sam. We're trap, curl flat. Now, what our corner up top should have done, when he traps right here and he gets high hat pass, he should have hinged, looked, and known I've only got a single, and I'm going to start tracking, expecting that outcut. And he done that, it'd have been even more difficult. He should be about right here right now. But even with that being said, he's got to go to his 4th option, and we force a very difficult throw by a high school quarterback. So that's why we love box as and we can play stress, coach, which is just the quarters answer to 3-by-1 that everybody does. It's a good look at against a double slot that you want to see. So we play a coverage called blue, which is our man coverages are colors. So white is black is man free, red is blitz 0, blue is banjo 3-on-2. So just to paint the picture why I love our 3 high against double slot type teams is when we're getting this, 3 safeties key in the 2 back, the 2 slot. When this guy goes in motion, I can become a trigger player because now the joker shuffles, his eyes go here, I become a fold cutback player. Okay? And then we're playing sky on the outside with our corners. It's a good look how you can defend everything. I show this clip simply, Coach, because it shows people always say, well, gosh, there's a lot of grass everywhere. Sure there is. You cut that on film and you're like, man, I mean, that's a light box. Well, this is a decent team that runs buck sweep by everybody doing their job and reading their keys and fitting. There's nowhere to go. We're trapping. I love the tight front. They have trouble with the 4 eyes. Our wheel fits. Our mic's over the top. There's our Sam with a hold cutback. So it's just a clip to show that people that say, well, the 3 high, you know, and then this is some of our simulated. We'll get into simulated stuff like everybody else and run nickel fronts with cross dogs and play 3 under 3 deep with it. But let me show you to answer your 12P real quick. I know we may have to go is we got some end zone copy on here that'll show you. All right, so here's a good one right here. So this is Rockmart that wins our region every dang year. Been to state finals last year. They're a double slot tight end, 12P, running up your butt. Here's just an under front. We have 3 D linemen still on the field. So we run under crash. There's the joker. That was 4th down, Coach. That's a 4th down stop with 3 D linemen on the field. So here's another look in the open field. Now we're going to move to a split front. We walk our wheel up. So now we're just playing a split front. Now, what I love is this film recognition. In motion, they do that. Our Mike and Kyle know, hey, when they come over here, he's telling them that guy's coming right now in motion. So we know the play about to come, but we've given them a different look with our front. And now we're going to give them a different look. Now we're going to stem to our bare front. Look, and our D tackle's already pointing. He knows based on alignment what we're getting. Now we move to our bare front. And so we've given them tight front. And all this is 11, 12P stuff. We've given them tight front, split front, bare front, under front, all within our base structure. All right, here's a couple good looks. So here's 21P. They motion the H-back in the box. So right there's your 21P. So we've matched it. We're in under front. I mean, so we're in 9, a 5, a shade, a 3, and a 5. We will walk up, and there's the joker replacing. And there's your joker and your free safety. We're playing sky to that. There's 3D linemen again. Here it is again, handling 21 personnel. Here's what I love about the eye discipline. The Joker has the H-back. Here's our rover safety matching the tight end. They're just running typical waggle. But Kyle's eye discipline, our rover's eye discipline. Now the wheel is the contain guy, and there's nowhere to go. You can see, I mean, I can show you a multitude of them, Coach, of kind of what we do. And I'd like to show you a couple other things. One of the big things I think we do is we use AKAT, alignment key assignment technique. So on this tab right here, we have every position down at the bottom. Every coach fills this in for everything we have. Our kids have this, and so you look at Cloud, Free, Joker, and Rover, and there's their alignment, there's their key, there's their assignment, and there's their technique. So we talk in terms of AKAT. And so our kids know that, and I think part of what makes us successful are our kids, obviously, and our defensive staff, but kind of the way we go about teaching their structure and kind of what we're doing and the flexibility of it, if that makes sense.
Perfect, Coach. Well, coaches, as we wrap up here, I don't know when this will post. Probably close to the end of the summer, if I had to guess off the top of my head without looking at our release schedule. So don't hesitate to reach out to Coach. His Twitter will be in the bio. Like I said, Coach showed off a lot of good things today. A lot very detailed. So if you're in the 3 safety world or just looking for detail. I mean, obviously Coach is very detailed oriented in what they do and technique. And Doesn't necessarily be 3 safety. Like I said, coach just laid out his a bunch of cover stuff and alignment and various other things as well. So give him a follow. Reach out to him if you need anything. Like, share, subscribe. Check out our sponsor, Coachpad. I'm probably forgetting stuff, but oh well. And then, like I said, that's another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast.